Hey, good evening, y'all. This is Pego Jean Paul, realtor for Keller and Trumbull. This is Bedtime Real Estate. Real Estate with Pego is my Facebook page. Tonight, we're going to be meeting with a landlord. He's not local here in Connecticut, but he is a landlord, active landlord right now. And I wanted to have him on so you can get kind of an insight on what it's like being a landlord and kind of understand step-by-step process on how to become a landlord and what is real estate investment, how you can and why you should have it part of your portfolio to your investment in yourself. So I'm going to introduce our guest.
Hello.
So, so this is Jeffrey Joseph, a good friend of mine. I coursed him to come on to the show tonight, man. He
At the end.
he's a really good guy, and he's been a real estate investor for at least a decent period of time. He has some experience in different type of real estate investing, and I thought I would like to have him on to talk about his experience because I want to talk to real people. Sometimes we talk to those millionaires that have 100,000 doors. You don't really feel like there's somewhere that you actually get to. So, Jeffy, I just want you to introduce yourself, kind of tell kind of your background, like where you're from, stuff like that, and like what you're doing right now.
Yeah. My name is Jeffrey Joseph. I'm originally from Haiti. I grew up in Connecticut. Uh, Spent most of my life in Connecticut, and then going to school in Boston. Went to school in Boston, lived there for a while. I graduated as a graphic designer, and I worked in graphic designing for a few years. After that, I went back to school for healthcare. So I'm currently in healthcare. I work in radiation oncology, and that's what I do as a profession. And
I hear you're still like a semi professional sports star, man. What's going on over there?
not anymore, not anymore. I thought I was, but this past weekend showed me my true age. So I'm retired from all of that.
Jeffy, sometimes you get older, you don't realize that, these bones don't work the same way as they do anymore. So you got a
Definitely
little
not.
flag football. Thought you can jump back 20 years, but, it is what it is.
Yes, that was my last hooray.
So, Jeff, let me get into it here, man. So I know you have some real estate investment. Why did you decide to become a real estate investor? Excuse me.
Well, I saw the opportunity a lot of people were having, and I just saw the just the opportunities around in properties, and just a lot of investment opportunities that are around in the city, wherever you are, wherever. I live in Houston, Texas, so there's plenty of land and opportunity there, and I felt like I needed to hop into this industry.
All right. No, like when you look at it in terms of like comparative to other investments, in terms like stock, Bitcoin, you know, literally in like minutes, you can become a stock investor, you can become a Bitcoin investor. Like, why would you decide to go real estate? Because real estate usually at least takes like at least 2 weeks, even if you're paying cash. It takes a couple weeks to kind of close on the deal. Like, why did you decide to go something that a little bit more long term? It's sometimes a little more risky.
Well, I saw the longevity in real estate, owning property. That's something that you can have all your life, even pass down to your kids and children. So it's something that is profitable and that is long lasting as well. So I think that's why I really was into it and really wanted to dive into the industry.
All right. So when you started going to real estate, like did you decide to just go in by yourself, or do you have partners, or what's going on?
I actually do have three other partners. So I decided to go in as a group just because of um, not necessarily knowing all the ins and outs of the industry to start with. So I had partners that were more knowledgeable, and just different partners that had different skill sets, so we could actually create a strong group, a strong unit for our entity.
All right. So when you work with your partners, right? So like, did you guys decide to divvy up the different part of the managing the property and stuff like that, or you guys are like doing sharing everything among each other?
Yeah, definitely. I think before we even started, we had a game plan. We created we created basically a game plan on our roles and responsibilities, what we would each hold, what we would each have, and just to make sure everyone's doing their part and everything is being covered in terms of the industry, in terms of ownership and things. So I think that was something that was very important to start with, just to make sure we had all the checks lined up in terms of who's doing what and what ownerships we have.
One thing I want to know is that when people, one of the biggest things that affect the partnerships is like things that come across like divorce, death, things like that. Like, what do you have in place, like, to kind of prevent those risks from happening in terms of like, when someone passes away, how does the equity be shared?
Well, we definitely wanted to set some ground standards and some rules, some stability around that. Um, so we definitely had a lawyer involved in terms of what ownership parts we have and separations, and we also wanted to make sure that the prop if someone ended up dying or passing on, or even giving up their share, that everything would be distributed equally. So we definitely do have different structures in place in terms of ownership rights, and also in terms of voters as well. So we can the entire group votes on whatever changes we need, and whatever necessities is needed in that aspect. So currently we have four ownerships, four LLCs, and then we own one other LLC that will own all the property. So kind of like an umbrella system.
Okay, so well, what people need to understand is that he has four partners and they have prior form of an operating agreement together. So what that means is that it shells out all the rules in terms of like the property. So if someone passes away, the worst thing that can happen, like, you don't really want to get into deals with people. Like, say for example, this came across to me the other day. Someone said, all right, I'm thinking about buying a property and getting 9 other people to get the property. Now that's a good idea because you'll be able to maybe get something larger or get something quicker with all these other people. But if you don't have nothing on paper, what happens is if someone passes away, you might own it with their wife or you might own it with their parents. Like, the way that it depends on the laws in the state in terms of like how ownership is passed. If you don't have anything on paper, then it ends up going to the heirs, and that's gonna be a problem because you may want the person that takes over, maybe it's their parents or their spouse, they might be bought out. So they might be something that they want to do, or they become a decision maker. So they're gonna make it decide like, hey, let's sell this property, and they have one vote.
Mhm. Yeah, again, that's very important in terms of trying to sector that out in the beginning. When we kind of orchestrated our game plan, we definitely again had our lawyers included in terms of getting operation agreement set up. So I think that's what one of the most important things if you're doing a group setup like that.
All right. So when you guys met and you guys deciding on the type of real estate, um, like, how did you guys decide whether to go residential, commercial? How you guys made that decision?
We did a lot of research, a lot of meetings, collaborations, and just a lot of market analysis on things on things around the city and on what we can invest on. We looked into the commercial industry. We looked into other facets as well, but kind of decided on real estate single real estate finally. So we had to do a lot of research and background checks and different things like that just to try to get just trying to get I get a good grasp on what we wanted to do and what we all kind of decided to do. And we also involved a realtor as well to give us different examples or give us different options on what we can purchase.
So why did you choose to use a realtor?
Just because of their knowledge base, realtor definitely knows the ins and outs in the industry, and we felt that that was the best person to actually bring into our system, just so we can get some knowledge to us as well. So a realtor definitely knows the market range, so we had a lot of information on that and just a lot of specs on other industries as well. So I feel like a realtor was a good source of information for us.
So how did you find this realtor? Because there's a lot of different avenues, like a lot in the word of mouth. Sometimes people just randomly pick people on Zillow. You Google somebody, best realtor in whatever town. Like how did you end up finding your realtor?
Our realtor was actually based off of he was she was a close contact of one of the our owners. So so I would say basically word of mouth and
Yeah.
experience as well. We know her background, and we did research on her. We followed her Facebook and Instagram, and just looked into her background and what she's done and what opportunities that she has available. So, but I think initially we kind of got her information, her contact from one of our members. So it's kind of like who you know as well.
Okay, because right now and like in this real estate market now, especially on social media, there's so much going on in terms of like kind of like realtor hate, dislike, and stuff like that, and how easy like they call realtors just door openers, which I don't no, I don't believe in stuff like that because a lot of realtors, true realtors, can provide a lot of value to your clients, knowing like the local knowledge. Now, how come you guys didn't decide to do any of like kind of traditional real estate investing, trying to get deals, like send out letters or door knocking or cold calling, kind of find deals? Because like when you buy on the MLS, I'm sorry man, you're buying at retail price, you're not buying wholesale price.
If for us, we kind of felt like I guess that was I guess I would say the industry standards now is kind of more technology based and more streaming. So
Yeah.
and it was a lot more legwork for us to kind of do a lot of that. And we all are full time workers. All of the owners are full time workers. We have our jobs here and there. We have other investments. So I don't think that necessarily worked for us for our group. So that's why we needed to actually go out and find someone that would initiate that and give us that source of knowledge.
And that's an important point. Like people really know, like when you have a realtor to represent you as a buyer, you hire that person to actually work for you. Not they're not just there to open doors, not just here to send you automatic email every week just a list of properties. They actually have to search and look through different properties for you and give you the properties that make the best sense for you. But I'm let people know there are different avenues in getting real estate deals outside of realtors. I'm a realtor myself, but like there are different ways to do it. Some of the easiest ways to do it is getting a list of people that might want to sell. A list of people that might want to sell, people that may be going through a divorce, people that usually pass, pre-foreclosures. What else? People that are old time landlords like 15 plus years, like kind of looking for those different populations that are most likely to sell. Like these are the same people that realtors target, but these are people that also investors target to try to get under contract to buy these properties because what ends up happening is that usually when you get off market deals, usually at a lower price than what's on the MLS, because MLS is definitely retail price, straight from the landlord or the homeowner is always a wholesale price.
Got it.
Yeah, so no, but that's something that, but it shows you that in terms of like how much effort you want to put in it. Where Jeffy and his partners, like this is just part of their investment portfolio. It's just a small part of it. This is not like what their full-time job is. Some people do real estate investing full-time and they have more time to focus on off-market deals. But like if you have a job, if you have kids, you're taking care of family because as you get older, your parents get older and they become children too. So you have to take care of them also. So like when you have all these responsibilities, you don't want the real estate to be a burden on you. You want to actually be a benefit. So it's a good thing that you went that route using a realtor because it kind of eases it though. But you have to get the best price is definitely to get it directly from the landlord's mouth.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so now, when you're deciding on the property you're going to getting, so you decided to go residential?
Yes, residential kind of half. Actually, our property is almost considered commercial because we have a 10-plex, meaning a 10-unit 10-unit sub apartment
Yep.
plus a duplex on the property. So 12 units total. So it is a residential, but because of the size of it's also, it could be commercial as well.
Do you remember whether it was so was it lending commercial or was the lending just regular like residential?
I believe it was just regular residential.
Residential.
Mm-hmm.
All right then. Yeah, because a lot of times the commercial properties they end up being around that 20% down, 25% down. You guys had to put a heavy down payment, or was it like a low down payment, like 5% or so?
We did have to put in it was either 18 or 20%.
18 to 20%.
Yeah.
Okay, so you put 18 to 20% down. So he has there's a duplex, and there's a 10U on the parcel. So how is a 10U structured? Is it just like side by side row houses, or is it like a big apartment complex? What does it look like?
It's literally side by side single studio buildings. So yeah, it's structured in that way.
Okay, so it's like a kind of apartment complex. Then the other one's like a standard like duplex on
Yeah.
the left side. So what was your strategy in terms of renting out both these properties? Did you just do 1 year leases? Like what'd you guys do?
So we kind of wanted to test out the market to see what was the best strategy. So we did both. We did Airbnb and what's the other one?
Airbnb and BYO, or no, is it not BYO?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well,
I use your Airbnb to be honest, but I'm
yeah,
not sponsored, but we look for sponsors all the time.
we did Airbnbs and also long-term leases as well. So we wanted to try out both. We pretty much did half and half, and trying to figure out what would be the best long-term solution. So, and we also use a platform called Buildium.
Yep.
That would help us just to allocate all the information, go through the tenant screenings, go through billing and payments and things like that. So we use a system called Buildium that even out the flow through it all.
Oh, good. Yeah, Mac. We have a comment here. VRBO. Yes, thank you, Mac. We appreciate that. Yeah, we get a little older, we forget, man. But that's interesting though. So how did it go with Airbnb? Because now Airbnb, like it's like running a hotel, man. Like it's more hands-on, I would say. Extra effort. You have to please your clients, otherwise you're not gonna get that 5-star review, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a lot of work. I would say, but it's work that I actually enjoy doing. Just being able to manage everything hands on, being able to set your priorities, basically, and having a good market for it as well too. So it was a lot of work just to make sure we had, again, everything that we needed in terms of supplies, in terms of structure and rules and things like that. We definitely had to set a foundation first before even starting it. Um, I think with the Airbnb, it does require a lot more time and a lot more effort on on the owners to actually keep up with the property and keeping up with the hands on for hosting and things like that.
So with the Buildium, were you able to utilize Airbnb within Buildium, or you had to use like separate, just the Airbnb website,
We had to use separate on that. The Buildium we mainly use um,
long
for
term
our
leases?
long-term leases, for our, at least the year leases. But for Airbnb, that was completely separate. So we posted those apartments by itself on Airbnb and VRBO.
Okay, okay. So now, one thing about like short-term rentals, like Airbnb, like was there any laws in the city of Houston that kind of like were weird or affected? Because I know that a lot of cities now are cracking down on these short-term rentals because the people are tired of these transient people coming in, it's going to the community, like but like it helps that like they're providing housing for people short-term, but at the same time, yeah, people in and out in your neighborhood, it's a nuisance. You can't trust people coming in and out because they're not committed to the neighborhood.
Yes, yes, we did find that it was a little structured differently. Well, it's the first time that I tried Airbnb, so I didn't know exactly what to expect. But going
Yeah.
into it, I did find that there were a lot of ins and outs that we had to look into in terms of the length of stay and in terms of what is provided and things like that, which we didn't know from the start. So, and I think it varies from city to city, state to state as well. But at the same time, I do think Houston is a good is a good structural area for that, just because some of the laws are basically able and open for us to do that.
Okay. Now, in terms of in terms of like turnover for the Airbnb, how did you end up finding your like cleaning service and stuff like that in terms of serving to those customers?
That's something that we definitely scouted um, from the beginning, from when we were doing research and meetings. We had a list of vendors that we knew that we can use, list of vendors that that um, that were reliable and were able to, that was committed to the work as well. So that's something that we definitely did ahead of time to make sure that all of those were set in place before we can set up any Airbnb or stable housing. So we had a list of our vendors already ready.
Okay. Yeah, man. Yeah, because like Airbnb is definitely more hands-on, tougher than the 1 year lease.
Yeah.
Like compared to how you had it at a 10 unit or having the Airbnb compared to your 1 year leases. Um, so why? So you compared to those different leases, like did you prefer the 1 year lease better?
I think after a while, yes, just because it was I guess it was less work, less hands-on work for us to having to, just supply a lot of the Airbnb housings. Not that, again, like it's possible, but I think with our structure, with the with our structure and availability, we just weren't that available as owners to be hands-on 24/7. So I think we kind of veered off of the Airbnb after a little while, probably after a year or so.
So I'm telling you right now. So Airbnb is not easy. Like TikToks, Instagram, listening to those people saying like Airbnb is easy. You're pretty much you're making a hotel, man. Your hotel service. My brother has also Airbnb. You know, you can there's are some strategies you can make it more hands off. Like you can have some texting services or like when someone has a complaint, they can go through a service and then like AI can talk to him, stuff like that to kind of get a resolution for them. But most of the time, like you have to be able to answer these complaints quickly because you want to get the 5-star review. Because getting the 5-star review will get you more bookings, get you booked through the whole week, and make you more money. So, which was more beneficial to money wise compared like the 1 year lease to Airbnb?
I would say that fluctuates because there are some peak times at on Airbnb where we could really cash in and get a large bulk of money depending on the time. But again, the monthly leases are very reliable, and and you're going to get that that check every month for that. So that definitely sustained us a lot longer for the long haul. And I did want to say um, like you were saying, just the automation and things like that. We were able to do that through our Buildium through our Buildium
Mm.
app, but not necessarily through Airbnb. That's something that we would have to do manually. So a lot of that wasn't automated on when you're doing Airbnb and VRBO, um, unfortunately. But we were able to actually do that using our Buildium.
Okay, so say for example, like so build them. We could break this down. So what services offer? So like it seems like they offer services in terms of like people putting complaints. They
Yeah,
offer services and like leases. Like what else? What's part of the package I usually get from Buildium?
basically you could run your entire shop through Buildium. You could create leases, do tenant reports, background checks, which is something very important, automations, texting, um, and just service calls, maintenance calls. You could basically run the entire shop through that platform, which was super easy and very cool to have. So that made the whole system a lot easier to do.
So that's one thing that you have to look at. You know, when you're looking to become a landlord, you have to look at these tools that are available to you. And Buildium is something that's out there, has been for investors for a while. And you have to use these tools to make your job easier because that, you can't be taking calls in the middle of the night. Like you got to have some type of system because most things they don't have to be dealt with that night. If it's a fire, they need to call 911. No, like they shouldn't be calling you. Like they don't waste time. Call 911. Like if it's anything else, if it's leaking, of course, if it's like a pipe is leaking, then that's something and that's like an emergency that someone has to fix. But most of the time, most things can wait till the next day. Like most things are usually able to put in maintenance requests later on to work on. So like using something like that, like a Buildium, some type of software to kind of build an interface between you and your tenants. Because your tenants, like, you have to have some type of interference between them, especially if even if you're living in the like duplex with a person, to be honest, like you have to have some set rules together where like they can't be knocking your door at all times for no damn reason because it's not fair to you. You're supposed to have some type of quality of life too as a landlord, and you're serving your tenants. You're trying to provide a safe place, but you also have to have some type of quality of life also.
Definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So now, in terms of like marketing the property, like, did you guys take your own photos, or did you get a professional photographer? Like, how did you guys like build like your like when you went on when like say for example on the 10 unit when the unit is up for release again, like how did you guys have marketed? Did you guys take your own photos or you guys have professional photographer come in and do it?
We wanted everything like very official and to look great. So we hired our own photographer to go in and take photos of the complex, of the inside, outside, and all the units. So we had all of those photos stored as well, and that's something that we had done professionally done, and that was really efficient.
What do you say was a price range for that?
Uh, I would not know exactly, to tell you the truth. It's something that we did um, very early on in the stage, and I don't have those prices in front of me.
All right, so I will tell people here that if you're gonna be a landlord, you think about being a landlord, and you have your own space before your tenant moves in. If you renovated a property, it's good to get some professional photos done if you
Yeah,
can or you can't afford it. It can range from like really low ball if you get someone that's just like starting up and coming. Maybe you go to local community college photography class, have them take a couple photos. Maybe it costs you $100, but like professional real estate photographers usually range between like $250, probably $450. Now you say, man, why am I gonna spend all this money for pictures I could just take on my iPhone or Android? Those pictures are not clear, man. Like when you have a professional photo done, like I'm telling you, a professional photographer could make a box look like a mansion. Like they have the skills.
yes,
Anyone that look for properties, they know that like when you walk into a room, like, man, this room looks so much bigger on the picture. I was like, yeah, they know what they're doing, the photographers. So it's definitely a great way to investment to have because when you have those leases up again, it's better off to have the photos ready so you have to keep taking pictures because you don't know how that tenant is going to leave that property again. Then you have to take
exactly.
pictures of like holes in the walls. You got to fix, well, maybe like holes, but like maybe nail holes and stuff like that, or you have to repaint it. So it's better off having the profession done before people move in.
Exactly. And we feel like that's the first thing a customer is going to see or viewer is going to see. So it has to be something that's inviting, that's light, that's going to draw them into clicking your link or looking at your property.
Now, did you guys use realtors again to market a property, or do you guys market it yourself on like Zillow or one of these websites?
Yes, we marketed ourselves on Zillow. We did use Zillow as well, and again, Buildium has a portal as well through for marketing that we used.
So with Buildium, so you don't even have to go on Zillow website. It can just input it for you on all the different websites for you.
Yes, yes, I believe it had a couple of different links. I forget which ones, but it was Zillow and renters, I believe, and one other website that it filtered through.
I wonder what website it went to. Okay. Now, one thing is that now, do you guys have a property management group managing your properties?
Yes, now we actually transitioned to a full property management company that's overtaken all those responsibilities.
So, like, how did you end up finding them? Because, like, I know there's a few here in like Norwalk. I know that they're available. Like, how did you end up finding? Did you just Google search them? Like, how did you end up finding a property manager?
We did a lot of research. We did some Google searches and talked to a few. Excuse me, and
Bless you.
we talked to a few of them and trying to get some as much details as possible. But we also had a lot of close contacts of people that we knew, people that we've interacted with from different events. So it was a lot of word of mouth and people that we knew from other people as well. So, and I think that's who we ended up going with was someone that we were connected with from one of the owners, and we ended up inquiring from them in regards to property management.
So people don't realize real estate is a big relationship based business. So it's really based on a lot of the contacts you have. You can easily find someone on Google, but you're not going to know in terms of like, the character or the behavior of the person, stuff like that. You're not going to know like those type of details of that person, what type of quality service you're going to get. It could be a flip of a coin. So did you interview other property managers or you just selected that one property manager?
We did interview others. Again, like we did do our research through Google and through social media. So we did call them and actually requested some quotes and went down the line through some of the questions and things what they would do. But we did ultimately go with our closest contact that we personally knew from one of the group members.
All right, then. Now, now, have you ever had to evict somebody? Have you done that yet? Have you done that?
Yes,
Have you done the process yet?
yes, we did. It was a headache, I would say. It was
So, was it done by your property manager, or was it by their partners, and you guys had to evict the person?
it was actually done by us, by us, as partners, where it was, I think it was early on in the development where we were it was for, I believe it was for a couple of months lease,
Yep.
and the tenant ended up not paying her rent for a couple of months, so we had to legally get our lawyers involved, and that it kind of dragged on for a good 3 to 4 months until we can actually get her evicted. But we had to personally do that, and it was something that was new and different for all of us, because none of us ever had to evict somebody. So that's something that we had to look into, and try to get some pointers, and do it legally as well. So, and it took a good 3 to 4 months to actually be successful in eviction.
So, why do you take so long to evict her? Like, couple months, man.
It-
Like knock on the
you
door, man.
you would
Was it during COVID? Like, knock on the door, like, no, I'm not trying to make fun of people getting evicted, but like
yeah,
in terms of like as a landlord, when people are not paying, people have to realize that the landlord do have to pay their mortgage, and Jeffrey is a regular guy. Like, I'm not
yeah,
saying like he's not made of money, you know. Like,
yeah,
this is someone that's a perfect example of that. Someone that decided to part of their investment portfolio, make real estate part of investment portfolio, and granted, this investment is not, it's not what's make sure his kids get fed, but like is making sure he gets his bills paid in terms of making sure that mortgage is paid. So like, I asked that question, like, why it took so long, because usually, like, especially in the South, the law is a little more, or I would say, more lenient in terms of for evictions, getting people out a lot quicker than there are in probably in Connecticut, where it takes a little bit longer.
yeah. It was literally through the legal system. We had to basically check all the boxes before we can actually get her out. We've given her, we had to go through the notice criterion. So it took time for all of that to be developed, and for us to actually get the final quote to get her out. So it's just the process. The bylaws are out there, and sometimes it doesn't work on our favor, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, and this is a perfect example that part of being a landlord is like these things happen. Like, you're not gonna be a real landlord until you evict someone. In addition, you get sued, because those two things always happen.
Oh yeah,
So there's always at least threatening to sue you or something like that. So that's what's going to always happen. And with the eviction is that, like here in Connecticut, like, after, the first, rent might be due, but you usually have 10 days up into the 10th day. But, on the 10th day at 11:50, past 11:59, you can apply to get that notice to quit for that person and start the process. Because, the eviction process can take time. In Connecticut, it could take as long as 6 months,
wow.
depending on like the judge. So in terms of like, you might give them the notice to quit, then you end up getting your court date, you meet in court, because you can't just throw people on the street. It's not fair to them. You have to give them time to get a proper place for them to live.
Yeah,
So you're going to have to like, so sometimes the judge say, okay, give them another 2 months to find some housing. Cause right now the housing market is definitely, is tough. The houses for buy and also houses to rent are a little bit tougher right now. Landlords definitely be tougher getting people in, because, they want people that are going to be able to pay their bills and be able to be a good tenant for them.
yep, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
man. Yeah, I'm surprised, man. Yeah. I should have knocked on her door that first month, man. Where's the rent? Where's the rent? Were you guys collecting rents by, were you going there every month? You having your safe in your hand, collecting collecting rent, or you was all online?
No, we definitely weren't old school like that. But but I wish it were that easy, but unfortunately it wasn't.
No, because in the real estate industry, you can definitely come across a lot of professional renters. Some things to look out for professional renters is that you have to be careful of people that want to give a lot of upfront money ahead of time. Oh, I'm gonna pay you 3 months ahead of time. They'll pay you 3 months, but who knows what's going to happen next 3 months after that? They may not want to pay and stuff like that because usually people that want to give a lot of upfront money and want to get into a property very quickly. That's usually one of the first red flags when you're kind of screening somebody. That means someone might be getting evicted in the process of getting evicted, or just the landlord wants them out. And so you have to be careful of trying to get this fast cash. And in terms of putting someone into the place, sometimes it's better to wait a while, get a better tenant for you that's going to be able to stay long term, because the best tenant is one that stays forever.
Yeah,
That doesn't want to move, stays forever, and pays there on time. So it's a mutual relationship with the landlord and then the tenant.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so well, that's good. You finally got her out. It's too bad, but it's tough because I know Texas. There's been a lot of evictions going up in the kind of nationwide in general. So, it's definitely something that is tough to go through. Now, what would you say would be your kind of like worst tenant tenant story? I would say you could share.
Ah, worst tenant story. I mean, it'd probably be the one that was evicted. They don't want to pay their rent. So, um, but I wouldn't say we had too many bad tenants, but we did have one tenant. Uh, she wasn't bad. She was just annoying, I guess. Um, but she had a lot of complaints um, in terms of what she needed done and the time that she needed done, and it could have been a little as, oh, I need this light bulb changed, and we would drop off the light bulb for her, and she calls it back. Oh, we need somebody to come do it. And so just little nagging things like that. And this tenant in particular had a lot of recurring small issues and small bothersome issues like that. But that was one.
Did you guys ever decide to adjust your lease? Like in terms of like providing certain stuff, because sometimes you can write in a lease like to provide certain things like light bulbs. Like sometimes when people put in a lease like light bulbs, like you have to take care of on your own.
Yeah, no, that's that's something that um, we did have on our lease. And well, we had to actually after that incident, we kind of revamped.
Update it.
We actually revamped and updated our lease just to specify a lot of those little things. Um, so yeah, after that instance, we did revamp the lease to update some of those particular subjects.
And I would say like what people should realize that like you can have two like wide range of people there. You can have a tenant that can call you every 5 minutes for something. Then you have a tenant that don't call you for anything, but the pipes are leaking. There's holes everywhere. Like there's like the apartment's like falling apart. They're not saying anything, but they're living there. So we have a comment from Mac. It says expenses below $50 is tenant responsibility. Do you have anything part of your lease with that?
Sorry, repeat that.
We have a comment from Mac D. I think he's from Connecticut. I'm a familiar face here. He says that expenses below $50 is a tenant responsibility. Do you have anything part of your lease that kind of like shifts to like those expensive to the tenants?
Not necessarily, no. I don't think we ever did. Um, but I feel like that's something that should have been done if we actually thought of that. But but yeah, that now that we don't necessarily um, have to think about it, we we're not necessarily over over any of those uh, tenant responsibilities. So that is kind of pushed on to the property manager. But that's something that we definitely should have used.
Okay, so are you still using Buildium, or now your property manager using their own software now?
We are not. We're no longer using Buildium just because we're not doing those type of legwork anymore. The property manager has been overseeing the entire property.
Okay, so now pretty much like you're giving a percentage to them, like a cut on the rent, and then they're covering everything. So they're screening tenants, they're picking the tenants. Like, how does it work when something needs to be fixed?
They would receive a maintenance call or maintenance text, and then they have their list of vendors that they would call out to complete that.
Oh, so you can't use your own vendors.
No, no.
So like when some, like say
There
for
are
example, there's a leak in someone's under someone's sink, whatever. Like it costs like $100 to fix. Like, do you have to like approve it before they do it, or they just go ahead and fix it and send you the bill?
They would go ahead and fix it if it's under a certain price range. If
Okay.
it's something that needed to be approved, that would be another price range that we would that they would connect us with, and that we would have to approve.
Okay. So like so whatever if it's at a certain, maybe it's like under like 200, $300, whatever, then they'll just fix and just send you a bill. Do you have to have a reserve on the side for them to use to pull out money, or do they just charge like an account or like your credit card or something?
I think we had it set it up where they charge the account.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that's how we had it set up, and we had a contract with them in terms of what they would they would handle basically and what they would be responsible for.
Okay. Now now with your experience right now with investing stuff like that, like do you think it's a good time right now for people investing in real estate, and why?
Um, I never think it's a bad idea to go out and invest in real estate. I think there's always opportunities out there to gain. There's always there's always going to be a property out there to revamp and to create and to build up. So I definitely think it's always a good time to go out and invest and see what you can get.
Okay. And what will be a reason not to invest, you think? Like if you give someone advice like, yeah, hey man, you should slow down, not invest.
I guess maybe if you're trying to do too many things at once, if you have too much on your plate, and if you don't have a good game plan as well, I don't think you should invest. You need a good you need a good game plan to get into it, to get into this, and make sure that you have everything structured before getting into investing.
Okay, so that means you can't buy a house for a dollar.
Definitely not a dollar. Definitely not a dollar. you
you
need a
know,
couple of figures on that one.
to be honest though, because I say that because there's so many on social media. They make it so easy to invest, which it can be easy. It can be easy to get into property, but like, it's more challenging to actually manage that property.
Yeah,
As we talk about tonight, we talk about tenants that don't pay. Yeah, you talk about tenants that they're calling you odd all the time, and if you don't have the right systems in place in terms of handling these things, you can make this a real estate investment and instead of a benefit to a big burden on you very, very easily.
definitely.
Like because if a tenant is complaining and threatening you to like call the state, do all the different things, like you worry about, you about to go to jail.
Yeah, you better have your insurance ready.
Oh yeah, insurance. Yeah, that's another thing too. People got to be aware of that. Like when you are a landlord, you should have insurance that cover renters too. Like renters have the renters insurance, but when you have renters living in a property, their insurance companies need to know that, and they'll base their insurance prices based on that. Like don't assume that is going to same. Like especially if you have a single family home, you move to another single family home and you rent that out, you should definitely reach out to your insurance broker or wherever company you use for insurance to kind of get a renewal for insurance quotes. So make sure that you're covered, because they may not cover the person's stuff. The person, especially the renter, don't have the right insurance.
Yeah, that's very important.
Jeffy, man, I really thank you, man. I see you icing up that knee and everything like that. I really appreciate your time, man.
Retired.
But say again, you're retired now?
Retired. From flag football, not working.
From flag football, not working. So, I appreciate you coming in, giving insights on this. Jeffy is a newer landlord. He's been doing this for about 2 years?
Yeah, about 2, almost 3.
About 2 years. So he's 2 years into the game. He has about 12 doors, with 3 other partners. So this shows you that investing in real estate can be a reality for anyone. You don't have to go in by yourself. You can go in with 3 other friends. You can go in with 5 other friends. You can go in 8 other friends. But before you do that, you always make sure that you have things on paper. You have an operating agreement. You make the right structures in terms of making LLCs and things like that. Yeah. And make sure that the properties are put in those buckets properly so that it kind of helps to prevent the problems that can happen in the future. Then when you're actually managing, you have to make a decision whether you're going to manage yourself. They tried that already. They manage themselves. Then they end up going to a property manager because he's working. He has his family. He has to take care of other responsibilities that are outside of real estate. He went into real estate more as investment that's all hands off, not investment that's hands on. He has to worry about all the time. So you have to be able to decide to use these different tools to help you make real estate investment more easier for you, so that you can live your life and let real estate kind of control your life. So thank you, Jeffy, man, for providing your insight, man. Really appreciate it. Take your time, man. So I appreciate it, man, and have a good day, a good night, man. Get some rest.
You too, man. God bless you. You guys have a good night.
All right. Good night, y'all. Peace.